Planning to own a laundromat? You might want to think twice. Not because you shouldn't do it, it's because there's a real gap between what this looks like from the outside and what it actually costs. And that gap is exactly what this video is for. This might be the purest version of the boring passive income fantasy on this entire channel. Machines sit in a room, strangers feed them money, and you barely have to show up. Laundromats get called recession-proof constantly, and there's real truth to that. Clean clothes aren't optional, no matter what the economy is doing. Renters without in-unit machines, students, and busy families all keep showing up regardless of what the headlines say. But survey nearly 1,000 laundromat owners, and close to half of them will tell you the exact same thing keeps them up at night: utility costs. So how does the most recession-proof business on this channel also have half its owners fighting the same cost problem? That's what we're figuring out today, and it comes down to a number most first-time buyers never think about until they already own the building. The first cost, the one hiding inside the walls, not just the machines. A laundromat is as much a utility infrastructure project as it is a business. Total startup capital runs from around $80,000 for a basic small setup, up past $1.2 million for a premium, turnkey location. Buying an existing laundromat is more common, and typically runs $90,000 to $400,000, sometimes reaching $1 million for a large, high-revenue store with newer equipment. Equipment alone is a serious line item. Commercial washers run $1,500 to $5,000 each, dryers $2,000 to $6,000. A typical store needs 20 to 40 machines, which can push equipment costs to $60,000 or more before you've paid $1 of rent. Here's the part that surprises a lot of first-time buyers. The building itself usually needs real infrastructure work, more than almost any other business this size. Most retail spaces aren't built to handle dozens of machines running at once. Electrical upgrades to support 200 to 400 amp service can run $8,000 to $25,000. Gas line installation for the dryers adds $2,000 to $8,000. Commercial water meters and pressure systems add another $2,000 to $8,000 on top of that. None of that is optional, and almost none of it shows up in the sticker price of the business itself. There's also the flooring and plumbing most buyers never think to inspect. Commercial washers vibrate hard at full spin and drain enormous amounts of water fast, so many spaces need reinforced flooring and upgraded drainage just to handle the machines safely. ADA compliance is another line item people underestimate. Accessible entrances, pathways, and restrooms can add $15,000 to $30,000 to a renovation budget on their own. The hidden trap, the one nearly half the industry names as its biggest problem: every single wash and dry cycle has a utility bill attached, and it eats far more of your revenue than most people expect. Utilities routinely consume 15 to 40% of gross revenue in this business. 15% if you've invested in modern, high-efficiency machines. 40% if you're running older equipment that guzzles water and gas on every single cycle. In dollar terms, that's typically $2,000 to $8,500 a month, depending on store size and local utility rates. A real, recurring bill that lands whether the store had a busy week or a quiet one. According to a survey from the Coin Laundry Association, nearly half of all laundromat owners identify high utility costs as the single biggest problem they face in this industry. Stack rent, insurance, and payroll on top of utilities, and total operating costs commonly run 65 to 80% of gross revenue. This is a thin-margin, cost-disciplined business wearing a passive income costume. Rent needs its own discipline too. A healthy laundromat keeps rent under roughly 25% of revenue. Cross 30%, and the math gets difficult to make work, no matter how efficient your machines are. Payroll is a real lever too, and it's a choice. A fully unattended store keeps payroll close to nothing, running only on cameras and card readers. Add staff for an attended store, especially one offering wash and fold, and payroll can run 15 to 25% of revenue, on top of everything else. The real engine, the one almost nobody outside the industry has heard of, this business doesn't run on machine count. It runs on turns per day, and a price you can raise by pocket change. So if utilities eat this much of the revenue, how does anyone actually make real money here? Turns per day. That's the number experienced operators watch obsessively. How many times each washer gets used in the single day. Revenue in this business is essentially machine count times turns per day times price per wash. And that last number is far more powerful than it looks. Take a 40-washer store averaging 5 turns a day. Raise the price by just 25 cents a wash. That's an extra $1,500 a month, $18,000 a year. From a price increase, most customers barely notice. The other lever is the utility percentage itself. Moving from an inefficient 40% utility cost down toward an efficient 15%, mainly through modern, high-efficiency machines, can be worth more to your bottom line than adding an entire row of new washers. Some owners add a third lever entirely, an attended, wash-and-fold drop-off service layered on top of the self-serve machines, charging for convenience on top of the utility cost that was already there either way. That extra payroll we mentioned earlier isn't automatically a loss. It's a bet that customers will pay enough for the convenience to more than cover the extra staff. And in busy urban locations, that bet often pays off. The real money in laundromats. The machines don't make you rich. The turns per day number and the utility percentage do. And both of those are decided by decisions you make before a single customer walks in, not by how many machines line the wall. The Coin Laundry Association survey is worth sitting with for a moment, because it captures something the passive income pitch never mentions. This is an industry where owners genuinely believe in the demand. Clean clothes aren't a discretionary purchase, and that part of the pitch holds up in downturn after downturn. But close to half of them are simultaneously naming the same operational problem as their biggest daily concern. Not competition, not demand. Utility bills, on a business that runs its core product through water, gas, and electricity dozens of times a day. That's not a business that runs itself quietly in the background. It's a business where the owner's actual job is managing a utility bill more carefully than almost any other small business on this channel. The owners who struggle most in that survey tend to be the ones who bought the machines and the location and stopped there, treating the utility bill as an unavoidable cost rather than a number they could actively manage down. So let's run the two real outcomes. The optimistic case. You buy or build with modern, high-efficiency equipment, keep utilities near that 15 to 20% range, hold rent under 25% of revenue, and run a disciplined pricing strategy that keeps turns per day high. You also revisit pricing at least once a year instead of leaving the same vend price untouched for a decade out of habit, capturing small, steady increases the way the turns per day math rewards. Total operating costs land closer to 65% of revenue. On a store doing $300,000 a year, that leaves a genuinely healthy six-figure margin before debt service, with a business that's actually close to the low-maintenance reputation it's sold on. The realistic case. You buy a store with older equipment because the purchase price looked better, in a market with average rent and average utility rates. Utilities creep toward 35 to 40% of revenue. Total costs land near 75 to 80%. On that same $300,000 in revenue, you're clearing a much thinner margin, and every unexpected repair on aging machines eats directly into what little cushion you had. Vend prices sit untouched at whatever the previous owner set years ago, because raising them feels riskier than it is, leaving real money on the table with every single wash. Same industry, same recession-resistant demand. The entire gap between those two outcomes comes down to equipment efficiency and pricing discipline decided before you ever open the door, not to luck, location alone, or how many machines line the wall. So is it worth it? If you're picturing machines that quietly print money with zero attention required, that version exists only for owners who already solved the utility and pricing math before opening. What's true is that the demand is about as durable as small business demand gets, in good economies and bad ones alike. People do not stop needing clean clothes. For someone willing to treat equipment efficiency and pricing strategy as the actual job, not an afterthought to buying some machines, this can be one of the more durable, low-drama businesses on this entire channel. For someone hoping to buy machines, plug them in, and stop thinking about it, the utility bill is going to do the thinking for you instead, one rising invoice at a time. Remember this: a laundromat isn't a room full of machines. It's a utility management business that happens to wash clothes. Master the utility bill and the pricing, and the machines really do take care of the rest.